This is a topic that's been making headlines lately, but I don't think it's been fully unpacked yet, especially when it comes to the impact it could have on Canadian housing. Of course, we're talking about the potential tariffs that Donald Trump has threatened to impose on Canadian goods, and how they could have a ripple effect on housing prices here in Canada. As someone who is deeply involved in the housing market here in Hamilton and the Greater Toronto Area, as well as having some investment properties in Sudbury and North Bay, I wanted to break this all down for you so you as a buyer or seller knows what may lie ahead if these tariffs do go through. Here's the situation. Trump had floated the idea of a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods entering the US. And then on the deadline he gave of February 1st, he actually did move forward with this. Canada then retaliated in a surprisingly alpha move by our current but exiting Prime Minister Justin Trudeau by matching the 25% tariffs on all American goods coming into Canada, essentially putting us in a trade war with our biggest trade partner. Then, after a discussion, cooler heads prevailed and Trump decided he would put a 30-day pause on the tariff implementation, provided Trudeau make a series of commitments to improve border security and move forward with a previously announced $1.3 billion border security plan that includes reinforcing the 49th parallel with new choppers, technology, and personnel, and stepping up its coordination with American officials to crack down on Trump's stated priorities: illegal drugs, mainly fentanyl, and migration. Trudeau said, all told, there will be 10,000 frontline personnel workers along the border as part of a push to make it safer. Now, I'm not going to talk about how what Trump is doing is essentially illegal, as he's breaking the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement that he initiated, replacing NAFTA in July 2020.
Now, in Trump's defense, he did explain today why we're going after Canada.
I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals are so bad?
So bad. The trade deals with Canada, they're so bad. He's just looking and saying, who made these? Ladies and gentlemen, don't get ahead of me. Ladies and gentlemen, for your dining and dancing pleasure, come with me into the Wayback Machine to 2018. I give you the culprit of the terrible deal with Canada.
This morning, President Trump signed a new trade deal to replace NAFTA with the leaders of Mexico and Canada.
The best trade deal they say ever made.
No! A deal done by Trump's greatest nemesis, Trump.
Nor am I going to discuss the fact that less than 1% of fentanyl that enters the US comes via the Canadian border. Those are just details, and Trump is a big picture guy and a businessman. And as the author of the book, The Art of the Deal, he may just be giving us a real-time version of his negotiation skills. But alas, I digress. What does this actually mean for housing? Because these tariffs won't just affect big corporations. They will trickle down to everyday Canadians, especially in real estate. Key building materials like lumber, steel, and aluminum would be hit with these tariffs. And that's where we start to see some serious implications. Canada is the largest supplier of softwood lumber to the US. And there have already been ongoing trade disputes about prices. Right now, we're already dealing with US duties on Canadian lumber, so adding tariffs would only make things worse. If American builders stop buying as much Canadian lumber due to increasing prices, our domestic market could really feel the squeeze. You'd think lower demand would just mean lower prices, right? Well, not exactly. If demand drops significantly, Canadian producers could slow down production. And that means cutting jobs or even shutting down operations, which would end up reducing supply and keeping prices higher. And it's not just lumber. Steel and aluminum tariffs could have a similar impact. These materials are used in everything from condo towers to appliances and infrastructure for new developments. If their cost goes up, developers will pass those costs on to home buyers. There are really three major ways that these tariffs could affect housing in Canada and especially Ontario. Number one is new home construction costs will skyrocket. For the last couple of years, we've heard over and over again that Canada needs to build more homes. They need to build them faster and cheaper to address the housing crisis. But if tariffs drive up the cost of materials like lumber, steel, and aluminum, it's going to make construction even more expensive. And builders won't just absorb these costs, they'll pass them on to the homebuyer. This means higher prices for new homes, new townhomes, and new condo developments. We've already seen how supply chain issues and inflation pushed up construction costs during the pandemic. If tariffs come into play, this adds another layer layer of price pressure. Number 2 is a slowdown in construction could worsen the housing supply issue. If construction costs rise too much, some developers may just delay or cancel projects altogether because it's no longer profitable for them to build. We've already been seeing a lot of this happening with some projects never getting off the ground or just getting canceled, especially due to high development costs. So adding the tariffs on top of that is just going to worsen things. So what happens when we don't build enough homes? Supply shrinks, prices rise, and it becomes harder for the average Canadian to afford a home. And in major cities like Toronto or Vancouver, where we're used to seeing low inventory, this could just push prices higher. And number 3 is renovation and home improvement costs will also rise. Even if you're not in the market for a new home, these tariffs could hit your pocket. If you're thinking about renovating or upgrading your home, you'll pay more for things like fencing and decks, windows and glass, where Canada imports $3.5 billion worth of glass from the US each year. Appliances, Canada imports over $3 billion worth from the US, and bathroom and kitchen fixtures will also be included in that. Plus, with ongoing labor shortages in the trades, we're already seeing costs rise. And this isn't just a housing issue. In Ontario, we could see a huge economic ripple effect, especially in sectors like the automotive industry. If Ontario's auto sector is hit, this could lead to job losses and economic uncertainty. And when there's uncertain times, people don't buy houses. This could temporarily slow down the housing market in Ontario, but it doesn't necessarily mean that housing prices will come down. But not everyone loses if these tariffs are introduced. There are 2 potential winners in this scenario. Number 1 being existing homeowners. If fewer new homes get built and supply remains slow, this could push the resale value up. Think about what happened during the pandemic. Housing starts collapsed and resale home prices skyrocketed. If we see a similar trend, homeowners could see their property values continue to rise. And number 2 is landlords and the rental market. If fewer people can afford to buy, it means more people stay in the rental market, which pushes rent prices up potentially. For landlords, that's great news. But for renters, it's going to make things even tougher in an already unaffordable market, though we have recently been seeing rent decline slightly in major markets. I just did a video on that. You can watch that here. Investors may also shift their strategies away from new build condos towards single family homes or smaller multifamilies where the rental demand is present. So will these tariffs crash the Canadian housing market? In short, no. But they could push prices higher and make affordability worse, something we've been experiencing too much and the Bank of Canada and everyone involved has been trying to bring down. Trade policies don't exist in a vacuum, they ripple through the entire economy. In this case, they could add even more pressure to Canada's already struggling housing market. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and if you have a different perspective, please let me know in the comments. My name is Morgan Little. If I can ever help in your real estate journey, feel free to book a call using the Calendly link below or simply shoot me a text and I'm happy to have a chat. Till then, I'll see you on the next one.